the pancakes and welcoming the crowds to Stampede.
We factor in about 1.3 million. Obviously, we're set up to host more than that.
And that adds up to big bucks for local businesses. Calgary condo sales keep sinking.
I expect it will take us a long time to sell the unit.
Not great for sellers, but buyers finally get a break.
There's a lot more choice on not just the resale side, but on the new home side.
And the stage is set. You choose how the story unfolds.
This is something that's really unique. There are a lot of Broadway producers that are interested in the show itself simply because there's nothing out there like it.
The interactive play debuting in Calgary.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Alicia Fieldberg.
Good evening. Boots are on the ground at Calgary Stampede tonight. The park is open for sneak a peek ahead of the major festivities starting tomorrow morning. And as Tyson Fedor reports, the economic impact surrounding Stampede is quite substantial.
The annual tradition of the first flip. Politicians of all stripes are in Calgary for the greatest outdoor show on earth.
The Stampede means that jobs are created, that businesses are supported, that hotel rooms are filled, and that patios are packed.
In 2024, a record number of visitors as nearly 1.5 million people entered the gates at the Stampede grounds. Organizers hope for similar attendance this year.
We don't budget for the prior year's weather. We factor in maybe we'll get a couple of rainy days, and we factor in about 1.3 million. Obviously, we're set up to host more than that.
Conference Board of Canada estimated in 2019 the Stampede ropes in around $282 million annually, the majority staying here in the city. The Stampede says it will have updated financial numbers later this year to see what the impact of an expanded BMO Centre has had on the flagship event.
Budget? No budget. Let's see how the spending goes.
Whatever we find, if we find it interesting, we'll go for it.
I'm cheap, so as cheap as possible, but if it's worth it, I'll do it. I'll try anything once.
For local businesses such as Red's Diner in Ramsey, being walking distance to the grounds, they are always bussing tables for the next batch of hungry Stampede goers and offering a more affordable option than the grounds.
Great to come, chill, relax, have breakfast, and then go down and kind of save you a little money.
And the Chamber of Commerce says the Stampede is the pinnacle for many.
Well, for so many of them, this is the majority of their revenue for the year. It's really important for small businesses, and it really is. It's an opportunity to grow your business, to think about new opportunities for your business in terms of expanding your market, maybe thinking of other products.
Last year, 17% of tourists to Calgary were from the U.S. Only 45,000 Americans visited the 10-day event in 2024. Despite political tensions, Tourism Calgary says Americans are still coming to Calgary.
We saw really strong visitation from the U.S. in June. We see anecdotally lots of Americans moving around our community and saying they want to come here. This has been a bucket list trip they've been thinking of, and they've heard about Calgary as a place of opportunity.
Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
Starting at 6 a.m. tomorrow, several roads downtown will close for the Stampede Parade. Here's a look at the route. The parade begins at 9th Avenue and 3rd Street Southeast. It goes to 10th Street Southwest, then loops back along 6th Avenue. If you can't make it in person, CTV Calgary has you covered. You can watch the parade live on TV and online starting at 8:55 a.m. The roads should all be reopened by 2 p.m. And after the parade, there will be free entry to the grounds between 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Tomorrow is the first official day of Stampede, which means the rodeo and chuck wagon races start. Other events include the cutting horse competition and the Elbow River Camp opening ceremony. Jade Eagleson performs at Nashville North, and Icelandic rock band Kaleo will be on the Coca-Cola stage. Danielle, a lot of people are planning to head down to watch that parade and then go down to the grounds afterward. So what should they be wearing? What can they expect for weather?
Well, I think tomorrow the wonderful story is ideal weather to be outdoors, because it's like the Goldilocks story. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. and right where we should be. Lots of sunshine expected for the day, and at 8 a.m., 11 degrees. So beautiful parade morning for us. Just by 4 in the afternoon, that's when clouds will start to increase. You're looking at a high of 22 degrees. Your full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Danielle. Operations are back to normal at airports across Canada, including here in Calgary, after bomb threats. NAV Canada says it found out about the threats early this morning at 6 airports: Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Vancouver, Ottawa, and Winnipeg. Sites were evacuated and flights were grounded for a while, but air traffic resumed later this morning. NAV Canada is not revealing details about the threats, but says it's working closely with local police to investigate. 2 coal companies suing Alberta's government over its mining policy say they've reached a settlement agreement. Jacqueline Wilson has the details.
Atrum Coal and Evolve Power say they've reached settlement agreements with the Alberta government. Atrum's is finalized, but in a letter last month, Evolve writes theirs is still in the works and are expecting it to be finalized in September. Neither have released financial details of the settlements. The companies are among 5 that are suing the government for a collective $16 billion in sunk costs and lost revenues.
We still do not know how much these settlements or these agreements will cost Albertans. The $16 billion is what industry has asked for. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what has been agreed upon. So we are calling on the Premier to share the details of those agreements as soon as possible.
The other 3 companies suing the province are Valerie Resources, Cabin Ridge, and Northback Holdings. In May, Alberta's energy regulator granted Northback exploratory permits for its Grassy Mountain project. It's something the NDP don't want to see.
The Alberta NDP proposed the Eastern Slopes Protection Act years ago, which would have guaranteed and legislatively protected the Eastern Slopes and the headwaters from any new coal mines. That private member's bill is still sitting on the private member's bill docket in the legislature.
The province tells CTV it cannot comment on matters currently before the courts. However, Premier Smith spoke to CTV Wednesday at a town hall in Okotoks about the province's coal policy strategy.
We also have a number of leases that we're in the process of buying back, so that those leases are held in the hands of the Alberta government and not open for development. So I think that the original intention of the 1976 coal policy was to have a very limited number of areas where coal can be developed, and that's kind of what we're returning to.
Jacqueline Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
Relief appears to be on the way for those looking to buy a condo in Calgary. Prices are dropping while inventory is adding up. Tyler Barrow reports.
A unit in this apartment complex is listed at just over $244,000. One realtor says that just 1 year ago, the 2-bedroom space could have fetched another $15,000 and it would have gone quickly.
We saw a lot of online visits, but we've only had 2 showings.
Tony Jones isn't the only seller who will have to be patient. Comparing year-over-year data for the month of June, this year's apartments are sitting on the market for 41 days. That nearly twice as long as the same time last year. And now, there's a massive supply with just over 2,100 units compared to 1,200 in June of 2024. And the benchmark price year-over-year has fallen by 3%. The Calgary Real Estate Board says there are a lot of sellers and a lot of new condos on the market.
We've had those record levels of starts over several consecutive years. As that product is completed, even if it's rental, it's just adding more supply choice. And when there's more supply choice, we tend to see the impact on apartment condos first.
Also, immigration in Canada has slowed and fewer people are now coming to Calgary. Current market conditions forcing realtors to have frank conversations with sellers. Last year, this unit in Edenwold Heights would have sold for $320,000. Offers aren't expected to be close to that figure.
I'm going in to meet with sellers who own apartment-style condos. I'm having some very honest conversations with them around value.
It's the break first-time home buyers have been waiting for.
Life is so hard, so to know that I have like a little bit of like a relief on like the financial side of it, it's good.
Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
A Calgary organization that supports thousands of families a year marked a milestone today with a big surprise for some kids. Mark Villani has the story.
With a burst of confetti and the shredding of a mortgage. The Children's Cottage Society made it official. They're now debt-free. The new 35,000 square foot child and family center in Calgary's Montgomery neighborhood is fully funded, a major campaign that's been years in the making.
It cost $26.5 million to build. It was a lot of money to raise, and we're so excited to have achieved our goal.
Opening last April, the three-story facility now brings together all of the organization's services, including a crisis nursery, family resource center, and child development programs, all under one roof.
It was really about keeping up with the need in Calgary, making sure that families and children who are struggling had the resources and the programs they need to be strong, to be resilient, and for children to thrive.
And to mark the moment, a big delivery from a professional wrestling legend. Bret the Hitman Hart teamed up with Amazon to deliver boxes of toys, clothing, and school supplies for children in need. The donations were delivered within 24 hours after the society provided a list of urgent items. For some kids, it's a dream come true.
He's one of my heroes. He destroyed all, the wrestlers. He won so many champions belts.
Especially for families that are struggling and children that are going through tough times. It's, the Children's Cottage Society does so much to help remedy that.
But beyond the celebration, a deeper purpose, to give kids a place to feel safe and loved during difficult times.
We want every family to know they don't have to struggle alone.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
A brand new interactive musical debuts in Calgary this weekend, where the audience gets to decide what happens next. Off the Beaten Path is a fantasy tale created by local artists. Creators say, unlike many other choose-your-own-adventure style shows, this one is not improvised. Instead, it is based on a 173-page script with over 160 potential story paths. Every twist and outcome is fully scripted and rehearsed by the 18 performers and crew.
It's the ultimate interaction for introverts because you're only voting on your phone. You don't have to communicate with anyone else. And the show itself is a musical. So depending on which path the audience chooses, you may get some pieces of music, you may not get others.
Creators say Broadway producers are already showing interest. The performances take place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Beddington Theatre Arts Centre. Well, the head of a major automaker is in Calgary discussing the future and hurdles. Just yesterday, the company met with the Prime Minister talking about ways to make the sector more sustainable amid the U.S. tariff turmoil.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
The national head of General Motors is in Calgary discussing plans to rev up its presence in Canada. It follows a recent meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney about the ongoing trade war with the United States, which is driving up both uncertainty and sales at Alberta dealerships. Terry Fikowski explains.
There's no shortage of horsepower in Calgary this week, but some of it you'll find under the hood. The president of General Motors Canada is in the city for the company's partnership with the Calgary Stampede. As part of a panel discussing the future of mobility in Canada, Christian Aquilina spoke of the uncertainty amid a Canada-U.S. trade war.
The uncertainty also brings opportunity. We have to remain agile and ready to respond to whatever eventuates here.
This week, GM's president and other auto industry executives met with the Prime Minister. They focused on ways to protect Canadian supply chains. U.S. President Donald Trump imposed 25% tariffs on vehicles manufactured in Canada with a carve-out for components built in the States.
We'll see how that plans out, but at this stage we're focused on delivering for what we know today.
The uncertainty is creating anxiety for buyers, and that's driving up sales at dealerships.
I think nationally, I believe the numbers were up about 6%, but here in the province of Alberta, we're up almost 13%. So it's been strong. I would suggest that our members are cautiously optimistic.
Car prices are also on the rise.
Our inventory levels have not been this low since the COVID days. So the demand is definitely going up because of a lot of anxiety that's around the tariffs. But at the same time, the supply chain is greatly impacted and diminished. So it's burning the candle at both ends.
To help make the sector more sustainable amid the turmoil, industry leaders are urging Ottawa to repeal its zero emissions vehicle mandate. By next year, 20% of new passenger vehicles sold in Canada are to be either battery powered or hybrid.
So we have some short-term headwinds that might make it easier in the industry to relax some of the regulations, but longer term we should be looking at staying on this path of actually improving the environment we live in.
Ottawa hasn't revealed plans for the rebates or trade talks, but there's cautious optimism with Canada and the U.S. back at the bargaining table. Terry Fikowski, CTV News, Calgary.
Carney wants a new Canada-U.S. trade deal by July 21st and will boost countermeasures if that deadline isn't met. Ottawa is spending more than $13 million on projects to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Alberta and the Northwest Territories. Two of the projects are in southern Alberta. $3.4 million will help turn manure into biogas at a feedlot near Coaldale, and $1.7 million in federal funding will add a heat recovery system at a potato processing plant in Lethbridge. As the city grows and builds much needed homes, some are making sure Calgary's important history isn't being knocked down. Tim Brooke explains.
Matthew Kennedy's 1913 Parkdale home came with some extra documentation.
Okay, so this is the photo album the previous owners left me.
The family who used to live here really cared about these walls, and so when they left, they wanted them preserved.
You know, I think we got like a good deal on the house, and part of that deal was that we would designate the house as a heritage resource.
And Kennedy has redesigned and remodeled everything from the floorboards to the counters to the bathrooms.
These heritage homes are kind of this record of Calgary's culture. The fact that they're getting torn down so quickly, it makes these houses even more important.
Now he's asking Calgarians who live in pre-1945 builds to look into getting a designation. Heritage Calgary runs the municipal program and says applications have been picking up, but still, only about a quarter of the 4,000 potential heritage asset homes have been officially listed.
I think a lot of property owners feel that designation is very restrictive as to what they can do, and that's one of the barriers for designation.
Homes that are designated are eligible for preservation, property tax breaks, and other special grant funding. And the benefits aren't just material.
People living in thriving and connected neighborhoods is really important for people's health, for people's socioeconomic well-being, just for people's general vibrancy.
Both outside and in.
When I see like a block of like the modern same home, it makes you a little bit sad. I don't know, I feel like you have to have heritage in the city.
Of course we need high density, we need affordable housing, mixed residential, but heritage homes are invaluable to neighborhoods like this.
Tim Brooke, CTV News, Calgary.
Expect cooler temperatures and some active weather before we really heat up again. Danielle's forecast is up next.
All right, well, temperatures have certainly regulated in most communities in southern Alberta. A little more reasonable heat. We got to a high of 21 in Calgary today. It was 19 in Edmonton. So we pushed our heat off to the east, as you can see. Saskatchewan and through Manitoba. Yep, well into the 30s for Regina and Winnipeg, for example. Today, we did have some thunderstorms push through Calgary. Now, when they were in Calgary, they were non-severe. But as soon as they moved out of the city, they really intensified, producing some larger size hail in some communities, especially some communities south of the Strathmore area. When we look at the overnight hours and through tomorrow, it looks a lot more stable. So sunshine through tomorrow. Well, here we are. There we are. Tomorrow morning, mainly sunny skies, Calgary and South, parade day. Wonderful weather. Not too hot, not too cold. 11 degrees at 8 a.m. Mainly sunny up until about 4 in the afternoon for Calgary. And then we'll get some clouds creeping into the city by that point, so later in the day. And then some rain will move on in, likely as far north as Okotoks. Friday night and through Saturday morning, it will be quite heavy, closer to the Lethbridge area, where Lethbridge could pick up 10 to 15 millimeters of rain from this Friday night and through Saturday. For Calgary, it doesn't look like it will make its way up here throughout the day. But late Saturday, because of that instability, there will be those thunderstorms developing, moving along the QE2, and we could see some of that activity in Calgary, as well as areas just off to the south, Okotoks. So that's later in the day on Saturday. So to give you your longer range forecast here, 21 is our high for tomorrow, so similar to today. A lot of sunshine throughout the day, and by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the clouds will increase. And then Saturday, we should see some sunny breaks, some cloudy periods, and then by 4 p.m., we get into the risk of some thunderstorm or at least shower activity. 19 is our high for Sunday, so temperatures will continue to decline over these next 3 days, but we'll bounce back to those mid-20s by Monday, and then by Tuesday, we're looking at bouncing back into the 30s. So for next week, Tuesday, Wednesday will be the hottest days, as you can see, out of the next 10.
Thanks, Danielle. A possible tornado hit central Alberta yesterday. People who live near Drayton Valley and Lodgepole took these photos of the funnel cloud around 5 p.m. Investigators are looking into the storm, and if it is a confirmed tornado, it will be the 4th in Alberta this year. Last week's NHL draft picks are in Calgary this week. They are some of the players at development camp. We'll explain why there's a smaller group this year. Calgary Stampeders hosted Winnipeg Blue Bombers at McMahon Stadium tonight for the first Stampede Bowl. There was a live halftime show with Poison frontman Bret Michaels. The Stamps won 37-16. Calgary now hits the road to play the Rough Riders next week on Friday. Flames fans got a glimpse into the future this week at Winsport with the chance to see all of the top prospects at summer development camp. Glenn Campbell reports.
24 players hit the ice for this year's development camp. It's smaller than previous years because the Flames want to give the players more one-on-one instruction. Cole Reshny was selected 18th overall at this year's NHL draft. He's going to play in the NCAA with North Dakota this season, and he's willing to put in the work to realize his dream.
Getting drafted was a goal of mine my whole life, and now the work only gets harder from here on out. It's my goal to make the NHL team and make it as fast as possible and be an impact player when I do make it. So there's a lot of work going into everything, the off-ice side of things, nutrition in the gym, the mental side of it, and then on the ice, obviously, the physical side of things.
Fans also got a chance to see the other first-round pick from this year, the speedy Cullen Potter. He comes from an athletic family. His dad played in the NCAA, and his mom, Jenny, played for the U.S. national women's team. She's an Olympic gold medalist and a 4-time world champ, and had a big influence on Cullen.
Always being there to support me. I think that's the biggest influence she'd had on me. She's my mom, and she's, my hockey coach at the same time. So, having someone there to support me through everything in life and in hockey is something special, so super thankful for her.
Zane Parekh, the Flames' first-round pick from last year, is back for another development camp. There's no doubt about his talent on the ice, but the young defenseman has also been working on himself off the ice, a sure sign of maturity.
Off the ice, kind of reinventing myself as a person, and trying to just be a guy I want to have dinner with. So working on myself off the ice, I think, is really important, and something I'm taking really serious because I had a tough month.
Glenn Campbell, CTV Sports, Calgary.
Thanks for staying up late with us.